guidelines answer, and we are doing now taxation part, and it is direct tax and international tax we are talking about. So here is a question that general anti-avoidance rules related to GAR and specific anti-avoidance rules. SAR, we need to distinguish between the both, and it is really important question which can appear anytime in the examination. So we are reading this, that general anti-avoidance rules, that is GAR, these involves generally granting the discretion to the tax authorities to invalidate the arrangement as permissible tax avoidance. So what it involves basically, I think I really wish for that I should, चलो ये language पढ़ लेती हूँ, otherwise I have some short notes which I can use. Now here, as per this, GAR basically says that this involves generally granting the discretion to the tax authorities to invalidate कि भाई वो arrangement जो है वो impermissible tax avoidance arrangement तो नहीं है. They need to check out, they need to validate this. Now they have a far broader application and hence interpreted in a more extensive manner. Basically ये बहुत ज़्यादा broader है और बहुत ही extensive manner में बताया गया है GAR को. So GAR is basically a potential to counter more effectively and outsmart the taxpayer in their out of the box thinking and their approach in devising new tax means of avoidance. Basically ये कहीं पे भी जाके GAR का जो है ambit थोड़ा wide है और extensive है. ये impermissible tax और avoidance तो नहीं हो रहा, ये check करते हैं. Now specific anti-avoidance rules क्या कहता है? In this case, ये specific है as a name indicate and it helps to reduce time and cost of the tax litigation. Tax litigation का time और cost को reduce करने में help करते हैं. These also provide certainty to the any taxpayer while formalizing specific arrangement. Certainty provide करते हैं ये किसी भी taxpayer को जब we are formalizing specific arrangement. And also these do not provide any discretion to the tax authorities. को tax authorities के पास discretion नहीं होता है because it is specific, it is already framed, and there is always possibility that a taxpayer may find loopholes and circumvent the limited applications of the specific provisions. So this thing related to GAR and SAR we have read. Now we have another question, that is what are the circumstances that can unilateral relief, bilateral relief, we know कि when there is agreement between the countries then we can give the bilateral relief, and here they are talking about unilateral relief, which is section 91 as per the Income Tax Act. So let's go through with this, that under the following circumstances the Indian government can grant unilateral relief for double taxation. So here the person or company has been residents in India previous year, कि भाई वो previous year में residence थी और income accrue receive हुई है taxpayers की outside India in the previous year. So कब उसे benefit मिल सकता है unilateral relief में, कि company residence थी India की last year में, income must have accrued to or received by the taxpayer outside India इन द प्रीवियस ईयर. इनकम जो है अक्रू हुई है और रिसीव्ड बाय हुई है जो टैक्स पेयर आउटसाइड इंडिया है उसके थ्रू, मतलब वो रेजिडेंस थी बट उसने बाहर से वो टैक्स जो भी अमाउंट है वो बाहर से लिया है. एंड ऑल्सो द इनकम शुड बी टैक्सड इन इंडिया एंड इन अनदर कंट्री विद विच देयर इज़ नो टैक्स ट्रीटी. मतलब कुछ ऐसे वो इंडिया में टैक्स होनी चाहिए और उस कंट्री के साथ है जिसका इंडिया के साथ कोई टैक्स ट्रीटी नहीं है. So here the person or the company had paid tax under the law of the foreign country in question. So here the person or the company had paid tax under the law of foreign country. Foreign country में उसने tax pay कर दिया है. So in such a case the unilateral relief can be granted, and any person who is resident in India in the previous year, अगर वो previous year में residence है, and also if he proves that in respect of the income which accrue or arose to him during that previous year in Pakistan, he has paid in that country. They have written any country, Pakistan में mention कर दिया, it could be any country. Pakistan they have mentioned because we don't have any unilateral relief with the Pakistan. And by deduction or otherwise, now the tax payable to the government under any law for the time being in force in that country relating to the taxation of agriculture income. Now similarly, किस किस को यूनिलेटरल रिलीफ ग्रांट किया जा सकता है? पर्सन जो कि आउटसाइड इंडिया का हुज रेजिडेंस इन इंडिया है प्रीवियस ईयर में, ऑल्सो इफ़ यू प्रूव दैट द इनकम जो अक्रू अराइज हुई है प्रीवियस ईयर में वो दूसरी कंट्री में उसने टैक्स पे कर दिया है, और बाय डिडक्शन अदरवाइज नाउ द टैक्स पेबल टू द गवर्नमेंट अंडर एनी लॉ फॉर द टाइमिंग इन फोर्स इन दैट, और डिडक्शन भी है और गवर्नमेंट में अंडर एनी लॉ फॉर द टाइम बीइंग इन फोर्स उस टाइम पर दैट कंट्री रिलेटिंग टू द टैक्सेशन ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर इनकम, कुछ भी लिख दिया है उन्होंने. This is something which I don't like. Guidelines answers may be mistake here. Chalo, now we'll read another. Like similarly, unilateral relief can be granted to any non-resident person is assessed on his share in his income of a registered firm assessed as a residence in India, okay, in any previous year. Yes. In such shares include any income accruing arising outside India during that previous year and which is not deemed to accrue or arise in India in a country with which there is no agreement under section 90 for the relief or avoidance of the double taxation, and if he proves that he has paid income by deduction or otherwise under the law in force in that country in respect of the income so included. I'm not satisfied with this answer, but I'll go with the book. Now there is a few benefits that is from the safe harbor rules relating to the Trans-TP Act, transfer pricing regulations. Safe harbor rules is there. What is the benefit of safe harbor rules? Basically complex compliance simplification. Simplicity. Safe harbor rules basically tend to substitute requirement in the place of the existing regulations and thereby reducing compliance burden and associated cost for eligible taxpayer who would otherwise be obliged to dedicate resources and time collected analyze, maintain excessive data to support their intercompany transaction. So here there is compliance simplicity. Also there is a certainty and reduced litigation. Election safe harbor rules may grant a greater sense of assurance to the taxpayer regarding acceptability of their transfer price by authorities without onerous audits. And also this conserves administrative and monetary resources for both the taxpayers and the tax administration. Now we have administrative simplicity. That means since tax administration would be required to carry out only a minimal examination in respect of taxpayers opting for the safe harbor, now they can channelize their efforts to examine more complex and high risk transactions and taxpayers. Now we have a question number 5th D part, that is, if we talk about XYZ Limited, it is a foreign company and it has its head office at USA. Now the BOD meetings are held in USA. However, the BOD has delegated major power to the committee in Kolkata and the members of this committee are based in Kolkata. Now the BOD ratifies the decision of the said committee and they are checking about the place of effective management. Also we need to discuss about the poem for BOD delegating authorities to the committee. Now here we have a question that the location where the company's BOD regularly meets and makes decision may be the poem provided by the board. Poem, that is a place of effective management. So if we retaining and exercising these authorities to govern the company, and it does in substance make the key management and commercial decisions necessary for conduct of the company's business as a whole. So in this given case, the BOD are held in USA, but the same formalize the decision taking by the committee at Kolkata. So now, hence, place of business meeting held at USA cannot be POEM, as power to delegate committee which is based at Kolkata. So what all are the guiding factors? That is, when the board delegating authorities to the committee. So if the board has delegated some or all of its majority power to one or more committees consisting senior management, the POEM shall be at that place where the executive committee are based, members of the executive committee are based, and also where the committee develops and formulate key decisions for the formal approval by the board. So hence, Kolkata is the POEM of XYZ Limited, as we have discussed. So what are the factors? Question number 5A, that is the factors that will be considered by the assessing officer while assessing the selecting an appropriate transfer pricing method. So what is the factors that are to be considered? So the concern is that the nature and class of the international or specified domestic transaction, and also the class or classes of the associate enterprises relating to the transaction and the functions performed by them, taking into account assets employed or to be employed and the risk assumed by each enterprise. Now the availability, coverage and reliability of the data necessary for the application of the method. Now the degree of comparability existing between the international net transactions or specified domestic transaction and controlled transactions, and between the enterprises entering into such transaction, and also the extent to which the reliable and accurate adjustments can be made to account for differences, if any, between the international or specified domestic transactions and comparable and controlled transactions, or between the enterprise entering into such transactions, the nature, extent and reliability or assumption required to be made in the application of the method. Oh my goodness. This is something important question, and that is ABC private partnership company consisting of 4 partners. Okay, so the partnership deed provides for the remuneration of 4 lakh rupees to the partners, and interest to the partner is at 12%. 4 lakh is the remuneration, and if we have provided 1 lakh after giving the following adjustment, like remuneration to the partner is of 4 lakh rupees, interest to the partner's capital account is 12%, that is 20,000, municipal taxes of 5,000, and rent received from the house property, that is of 50,000. Now we need to calculate the book profit, also remuneration decided deductible under section 40B of the Income Tax Act. So here is the answer that has been represented, that computation of the book profit निकालना है हमें. बुक प्रॉफिट में भी कैलकुलेटेड नेट प्रॉफिट जो कि P&L अकाउंट से दिया हुआ है, म्यूनिसिपल टैक्स हमें ऐड करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है, क्योंकि हाउस प्रॉपर्टी से रिलेटेड है. रेंट रिसीव्ड फ्रॉम हाउस प्रॉपर्टी या हाउस प्रॉपर्टी के उसमें टैक्सेबल होगा तो इससे लेस करेंगे. सो बुक प्रॉफिट आ गया हमारा 4,55,000. सो रेम्यूनरेशन अलाउड इज़ लोअर of the amount as per the partnership deed, that is 4 lakh, or amount actually paid, that is the 4 lakh. So amount computed here under, that is first rupees 3 lakh पे तो 90%, and balance of जो amount है that is 1,55,000 पे 60%. So total 3,63,000. 3,63,000 is the basically maximum permissible remuneration which we can give to that partner. We have already did this question, so don't look at me like this. We have already done this question earlier. So now there is a second question, that is a tax treaty and also the principal objectives of Indian tax treaty. Tax treaty is basically the bilateral agreement between the 2 countries to resolve the issues relating to double taxation of the passive way as well as the income tax treaty generally determine the amount of the tax that a country can be levied on the taxpayers' incomes, capital. It is also double taxation avoidance agreement, we know. And the basic objective, basically we want to granting to the relief in respect of income which have been paid both under the income tax act and income tax जो दूसरी country में भी दिया जा रहा है. Now also the income tax chargeable under the income tax and under in law in force to promote mutual economic relation, trade, investment. Yes. So income chargeable under income tax act and law in force in that country to promote. What do we want to promote? We want to promote mutual economic relations, trade. Now for the avoidance of double taxation on income under the income tax act and under the corresponding law in force in that country, or for exchange of the information for the prevention of evasion or tax avoidance of the income tax chargeable under the income tax act or corresponding law of force in that country, or investigation of the case of such evasion or avoidance, and also for the recovery of the income tax act under the corresponding law in force in that country. We have another question, that is question number C. It is a practical one and basically किस चीज़ से related है? This is related to computing of capital gain. Capital gain निकालना है. Paid up share capital, general reserve, revaluation reserve, current liability, fixed assets, ये सब चीज़ें दी हुई हैं. Fixed assets इंक्लूड्स लैंड परचेज़ किया इन्होंने मई में, और ये दिया हुआ है इन्होंने जनवरी का. रिवैल्यू होकर वो हो गई है 50,000 की. और फिक्स्ड एसेट्स दैट इज़ रिटर्न डाउन वैल्यू इज़ ऑफ 10,000. कॉस्ट इन्फ्लेशन भी हुआ है, तो हमें बेसिकली इसमें फिक्स्ड एसेट्स का एक बार चेकआउट करना है. लेट्स चेक आउट द आंसर. तो आई एम नॉट सो इंटरेस्टेड इन दिस क्वेश्चन. फिक्स्ड एसेट्स एट होल रिटर्न डाउन वैल्यू 10,000 है. लैंड का प्राइस, cost price was 5,000, debtors 40,000, inventory 40,000, it comes to 95,000. We need to less out the current liabilities, that is of 30,000. Net worth of XYZ is of 65,000. Value of current consideration, that is of 3,50,000. Value of consideration, that is of 3,50,000, and long-term capital gain is of, if we compute all such, current liability हो गई, long-term capital gain is of 2,85,000. In a slump sale, benefit of indexation is not available. Okay, so indexation इन्होंने किया नहीं है and is not to be considered. Revaluation reserve को भी इन्होंने consider नहीं किया है. So we are done with this question. We have to go for another question, that is of the alternative part, and it is also related to the practical approach. कि ABC द फॉरेन कंपनी, फॉरेन सब्सिडरी XYZ की है, तो इसमें हमें क्या करना है? आर्म लेंथ प्राइस के बारे में कैलकुलेट करना है. कौन सा मेथड लगाना है, कब मेथड लगाना है? शायद लेट्स चेक आउट. वी आर चेकिंग इट आउट. ABC के लिमिटेड है, ठीक है. कब मेथड लगाया है इन्होंने? इस क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करने में बहुत मज़ा आएगा. सेल प्राइस दिया हुआ है, वारंटी की कॉस्ट. इस क्वेश्चन को मैं ज़रूर सॉल्व करूँगी. यहाँ से आंसर देख के तो सॉल्व नहीं होगा. नाउ वी हैव अनदर क्वेश्चन एंड दैट इज़ रिलेटेड टू मैथ, जो कि हमें बहुत अच्छे से आता है. सो इन्होंने लास्ट टाइम बहुत सारे प्रैक्टिकल क्वेश्चंस पूछे थे, बट अब ये क्वेश्चंस इतने नहीं पूछते हैं. अब इन्होंने प्रैक्टिकल पार्ट ज़्यादा पूछा था 2020 में. ओके, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट मैथ का, इन्होंने एक अच्छा क्वेश्चन दिया हुआ है. एंड देयर इज़ अनदर क्वेश्चन दैट इज़ ऑफ इशू ऑफ शेयर्स एट एक्सेसिव शेयर प्रीमियम. Since share of the ABC Limited are not listed in any recognized exchange, it is a company in which publics are not substantially interested. And when such company issue shares at a price in excess of the fair market value, कुछ नहीं बना. Where share premiums are charged in excess of Section 56 of the Income Tax Act. Excess premium हो गया 20 per share. Value है 10 lakh shares की. Excess premium is of 2 lakhs. Such liability will arise only when the shares are issued to residents. Rupees 2 lakh will be treated as income from other source. And when the shares are issued to the non-residents or venture capital undertaking, there is no applicability of Section 56 and hence will be no tax effect. So they basically talked about tax effect of this transaction. So we are done with this. Done.